You're caught in the SF-Vortex.
We got a big problem here.
You can say that again. It's a shack attack. The Man of Steel has a heart of gold and hopes to use it to fire up the big screen.
It's gonna take a lot more than that.
Maybe mimicry is a better way to go. Terror takes over theaters when violent creatures learn to camouflage themselves to look like humans.
Nobody out there knows about this.
Well, they do now. But what do you expect when we have two of our favorite cops being thrown into the war room?
I don't want to have anything to do with this case.
Too bad, George. The alienation saga lives on. We're going into dangerous territory with this one. But as you know, we'll do whatever it takes to keep you up to date on everything happening in sci-fi entertainment. Nothing to scare us.
I boogie around danger like a soul-trained dancer.
Welcome to SF-Vortex, everybody. I'm Roger Lodge, and we've got some pretty cool stuff happening right here in the Vortex. We've got previews of the most recent big screen releases and some surprising summer TV tidbits as well. Speaking of TV, later, Alienation cast members Gary Graham and Eric Pierpoint and creator and executive producer Ken Johnson will join us in the war room. But first, one of the summer's most frightening entries into the sci-fi arena is Event Horizon. It stars Sam Neill and Lawrence Fishburne. The film strands a rescue team on an experimental spaceship. And oh sure, the ship is deserted, but are they alone? Event Horizon is playing at theaters right now, folks, so journey to the edge of the solar system if you dare. And if you haven't seen it already, the Sci-Fi Channel's making of Event Horizon airs one last time Sunday morning at 9 o'clock Eastern. Now, also in theaters this week is Steel, based, of course, on the DC comic. Steel stars the NBA's one and only Shaquille O'Neal as John Henry Irons, a man out to stop a dangerous secret government superweapon. In his metallic suit and armed with his mighty hammer, this gentle giant takes on the worst scum of the criminal world. Luckily for Shaq, Steel does not have to shoot free throws. Steel was written and directed by our soon-to-be War Room buddy Ken Johnson, who will be joining us very shortly. But haunted spaceships aren't Shaq's only competition. Look out for gigantic mutated bugs, courtesy of Mimic. Mira Sorvino stars in this Aliens Meets a Roach Motel story of scientific tinkering gone horribly wrong. And I thought Joe's Apartment was scary. Wow. You can check out Mimic at a theater near you, folks. Make sure you bring along a can of Raid. Now, sticking with this scary theme we seem to have going, there's news from the set of Fox Television's Millennium. Now, it seems that Frank Black and his wife, Catherine, played, of course, by the lovely Megan Gallagher, will separate in the second season opener. Producers say the split will last only 10 episodes, but only time will tell. And on Babylon 5, my favorite sci-fi show, this week repeats one of last season's most volatile episodes when Sheridan must confront the Council of Non-Aligned. Let me get this straight now. If they know that he knows, but he thinks they don't know, and if they think that he doesn't know, then if they did know that he didn't, I don't know. Just watch the episode, folks. You'll love it. On Highlander, this week's repeat brings back Richie, who was seduced by a messenger of peace who believes immortals can live together as brothers. Obviously, it did end for Richie, but I have a feeling the Highlander won't be putting his sword away anytime soon. When we come back, folks, it's the moment we've all been waiting for, Alienation. What does the future hold? We'll find out.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That's what we thought, George, when we decided to reopen the Alienation case. Joint stars Eric Pierpoint and Gary Graham, along with executive producer Ken Johnson, coming up in the War Room when SF-Vortex returns. Tokyo is under siege this week on the Sci-Fi Channel. Destroy All Monsters in Letterbox is featured Monday night. Tuesday, Godzilla stomps on Monster Island. Wednesday, it's Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. And be sure to check out the opening song, Save the Earth. And Thursday, Godzilla's worst nightmare becomes a reality when he faces a metal clone of himself in Godzilla vs. the Cosmic Monster. Welcome back to SF Vortex, everybody. We have made it down to the war room, and it's time for Alienation. That's right, folks. Joining me, actor Gary Graham. Of course, he portrayed Matthew Sykes on Alienation, and his co-star is here, Mr. Eric Pierpoint, who, of course, played Visitor George Francisco. And Ken Johnson, the creator and executive producer of Alienation, and the director and writer of Steel. Guys, topic number one, let me get right to it. Eric, I'm going to start with you. Come on, I'm working here. You're killing me. Eric, how does it feel? I mean, this thing aired, for, the final episode aired recently on Fox. You guys have been with this since, what, 89, I believe? How does it feel to let this thing go, if indeed it is finally done?
Well, it sort of felt real good not to be in the glue all the time and be in the head all the time. But then again, when you do it and when you see it, you remember all the good times that you have, so you don't want it to end. You don't want it to end because you have a good time working with Kenny and Gary and the whole, it's like summer camp.
It was like a family. It really was. From the very beginning, we had actors that really liked each other. What a concept.
Was it tough for you, Eric, to have to carry Gary week after week?
The load was heavy, believe me. No, we laughed, I swear, Gary was there. We would laugh literally all the time, every day. Don't you think?
Pretty much.
At least twice.
A lot of fun, Gary.
Gentlemen, can we get on with the filming, please? We're working here. We're trying to make a movie with a common
That's true.
refrain.
We have a very long gag reel of outtakes from Alienation.
The gag reel is even better than Alien.
I wish I could have. No.
Yeah, it's actually better than the show. My best work. My best work was thrown out.
Gary, how about for you to finally see this thing go away? What does it mean to you?
Well, I'll tell you, Raj, it's sad, and I'm feeling a little verklempt. But it's sad, just because it was so much fun to do. The characters were so richly drawn, and it was intelligently made.
In spite of ourselves.
In spite of ourselves.
No, because of you guys. This is for sure.
Yeah.
The teaming of these two guys was just terrific. And I mean, Eric and I had known each other since 1984, I guess, and I met Gary in '89, and it was just instant camaraderie. A lot of television shows, you know when they're getting tired and they ought to be over, but when Alienation was canceled in 1991 after only one season, it was like a young person getting hit by a car. I mean, we said, wait a minute.
It was shocking.
It was really shocking.
Yeah,
and we all were convinced that we were going to be sitting around in the motion picture country home in 20 years going, that never should have canceled that show.
Did Eric and Gary come in originally for the roles that they came in for? Is that the roles they ended up playing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Actually, Eric was the first call that I made. I said, I've got a series, a pilot that I've just sold, and I got a part for you. If you want it, it's yours.
True story, Eric?
Well, it's a true story, and he gave me Alienation with James Caan and Manny Patinkin to look at, right?
Right.
And I took it home and I looked at it and I said, well, this has got a lot of possibilities. And I called him up and I said, okay, well, I know James Caan was pretty good in this, and are you sure that I'll be right for that? He said, no, Eric. It's Mandy Patinkin's role that I want you to play. And I went, oh, wait, let me look at that again.
That's a great story.
But I loved it. I loved it.
Well, I needed an actor who not only was a first-rate actor, which was the experience I'd already had with Eric, but somebody who had the zen factor of being able to get in and out of that head every day for 9 months if it went to series. Right. And Eric was amazing. I mean, there was a couple times you guys had to take him for a walk.
Gary would take me for walks once in a while.
You'd see it. We'd be doing a scene, and they'd be setting lights, and it gets very hectic. And inside the head, put your hands over your ears and have a lot of noise around you. That's what he had to go through 14 hours a day. And I would see him just start to vibrate. He would just start to shake. Earth Treader? No, it's Eric imploding. And I'd have to say, Eric, I'm going to take a little walk out the parking lot.
That was great.
Well, your fans aren't exactly excited to see this thing go away. Let's take a look at a viewer letter, shall we? Vortex viewer Connix writes, I think Alienation is or was one of the best sci-fi TV shows on the tube today. Fox TV should definitely reconsider their move to cancel the series. Ken, first of all, why would Fox want to pull this thing? It was terrific.
Well, the rumor was that Barry Diller was upset because the aliens looked too much like him.
Oh!
And, and actually they just felt that they could get bigger ratings in their Monday night time period with comedies. And they canceled us. They put on comedies, and they went so far in the tank that they had to give the Monday night back to the affiliates the next year, and they were off for a year because of that. As a matter of fact, they got up in front of the Television Critics Association the next year and publicly apologized for canceling the show. And of course, I was on the phone the next day saying, "So?"
Yeah, it doesn't do us any good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine to say one thing, but we're still there.
Yeah.
Forget Fox. What do they know? They made Pauly Shore a star. Can we take this somewhere else?
Well, we tried to at the time, but the problem was the makeup. The makeup was so expensive, and you need the Academy Award-winning makeup people to do it, and
that's just my makeup. His makeup is a lot more expensive.
That's true.
Well, then there's all the yachts and the private, all this thing, the minor expenses that we have to keep going that they wouldn't put up with.
No, it was primarily the makeup.
The size
was a big
of Gary's
problem.
trailer was probably just
It was just
outrageous.
off budget. It was just.
Now, well, think about it. The normal makeup budget for a TV movie is about $50,000. Our makeup budget is $500,000 for a 2-hour movie, and it was just prohibitive. And so it was like a gift from the gods when all of a sudden in 1993 they came to me and they said, "How would you feel about doing some more Alien Nations?" And I said, "You mean like the ones I've been pounding on your door to do for the last 3 years?" Because to give up these guys and the other people on the show was hard on all of us.
Well, when you're doing something that you consider a personal gem, and you want to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go to work.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'd get up at 4 a.m. to watch this show. That's how much I liked your show.
What a guy.
Speaking of budgets and speaking of money, we got to sell a few things. Don't go anywhere, folks. SF Vortex will be right back. Welcome back to SF Vortex. We are still in the war room with the gang from Alien Nation, actors Gary Graham and Eric Pierpoint, and executive producer Mr. Ken Johnson. Hey, how you doing? How are you?
Nice to see you.
Okay, glad you guys can get acquainted here. Okay, let's talk about Alien Nation. Now, why, after all these years, what is it about this show? Why is it still so popular, Ken?
I think it's because it touches on a lot of human issues, but and issues of intolerance and prejudice, but it does it with a sense of humor, and it does it through the lens of Eric's family, the Franciscos, who are from literally from another planet. What attracted me to it to begin with was the notion of doing a show about the world's newest minority, and yet not offending anybody while we did it, and that was I think to me the heart and soul of what Alien Nation was all about.
Eric, do you agree with that?
I think we care so much about the show, and the passion and the caring that we bring to the show also translates onto the screen. And so I think people pick up on that. Plus, I don't think there's a whole heck of a lot of preaching going on. Sometimes science fiction can kind of tip over that way. So they get to see all of this allegorical human interest stuff, but in an entertaining way, with a lot of humor, but there are moments that really mean something. But it's not one of those things that's too heavy-handed. So, and then there's Gary.
Then there's Gary.
Well, the relationship between Gary and Terry Trees, who plays Kathy, I mean, it just gave us a lot of room to explore that sort of stuff.
Gary?
Indeed. Hey, I'm just happy to be working. It's a job, you know what I mean?
Let's talk about some of those issues that you guys tried to tackle.
Well, I remember when I came up with the notion that the male aliens give birth.
Right.
It gave us an opportunity to sort of ask the question, what makes a male? And it was one of the most fun episodes that we did, because here's Eric walking around pregnant out to here, saying things like, a man in my species never really feels like he's fulfilled himself as a male until he's given birth, And Gary is having to live through this with him, and ultimately birthed the baby with him, which was one of the most magical nights I think we ever spent on a set.
Now, Gary, obviously, you sound like a guy who was very passionate about his character. How much did you and Ken get together and talk about where your character was going, what you were going to do?
Kenny very much leaves it open for actors to approach him with new ideas about their direction for the whole curve of the show, the arc of the show, not only in the first season, but the subsequent 5 seasons that were never shown. But Kenny they always had a very open door, the producers and writers, and Kenny, for actors to suggest new ideas, for plot twists, for character things.
Anything
so it was very much a collaboration.
Yeah, we were always very lucky, too, to have great writers working with us. Andy and Diane Schneider, Harry and Renee Longstreet, and Tom Chihak, and a lot of good, strong scripts all the way down the line. And the thing that would always fascinate me is when we'd get together to read them for the first time, the very first cold reading of the script, we'd sit in the conference room, and I'd say, there's no directing for me to do. They know it all. They're perfect already.
Yeah, the best thing is that after a while, you begin to live the part, and then you begin to create through the part. And I think everybody was doing that. They'd get the material, they look at it, it comes out this way, but you're already so in character, you start creating from like that other dimension, which is the best part of the business as far as I'm concerned.
Anything your character didn't get to that you really wanted to get to?
Why, I'll never know unless we do more, How can you even know? There may be. I think there is. But you don't know until you get there. Right now we've kind of done a lot, But I think it's still like there's a lot of that iceberg that's left there, someplace we haven't gotten to.
I got to say one thing, though, about working with Eric, and you know this, too. Working with Eric, I've never worked with anybody who, that it's so easy to enter a scene and just fly and play with than you, buddy.
Really?
Yeah, really.
I feel the same
We have
way,
so
though.
much
You
fun.
never
and
really
never
know what you're gonna
never
do
know exactly what
when you
the
get
other
on the
guy's going
set.
to do.
And as a-
Nobody
You're
does.
just flying blind.
You're right, and as a director, one of the problems that the editors always have was they wouldn't know who to be on. So they'd say, let's do more two-shots.
Right.
So a lot of the work with these guys, I just put the camera back where I could see both of them and let them go, you know.
Well, you
because,
guys really had to know your lines then, didn't you? Wow.
yeah, they did. They were
We had
good.
cheat sheets.
Well, they're all under here. What are you talking about?
Real quick, I got about a minute left. Steel. You guys are in Steel. How'd that,
We had a
how
party
did
for
that,
Steel.
how did that come
You know,
about?
Kenny's busy. You know, when he was directing Alien Nation, he's on the phone getting Steel all together.
Sure.
And he goes off and
That's
does
true, and then nobody cared.
We
yeah,
care.
I know you do. No, Gary and Eric did me a big favor and came down and each did a role in the picture for me, and that's made it a lot of fun to do, and we had a good time.
Hey,
together.
you know, my son and I, Brandon, went to see Steel.
Yeah.
We loved it.
It's a great
Folks,
movie.
Go see Steel.
see
It's
Steel. It's
terrific.
great. Shaq is a
I'm
great
at a time,
one.
and Shaq
Shaq's
is
great.
terrific.
Shaq
He's
is
great. I got to get out of here. I want to thank my guests, Ken Johnson, Eric Pierpoint, and Gary Graham. Folks, don't touch that dial. SF Vortex. We'll be back in a moment. All right, welcome back to SF Vortex. Hey, it's my son Brandon. I got him a part-time summer job here on the space station. Brandon, you want to say hi to anybody?
Hi, Mom. Hi, Brianna.
Okay, that's enough. Get out of here. He's a natural, this kid. He's terrific. All right, let's take a viewer letter, shall we? Viewer DJ Troy requests, I would like to hear an update about the upcoming TriStar Godzilla movie. Well, DJ, Godzilla won't be crushing moviegoers underfoot until the summer of 1998, but the preliminary footage is reported to be amazing. We'll keep you apprised as production of the monster movie to end all monster movies
And J. Michael Straczynski. Until then, I'm Roger. I'm out.
They're stupendous, they're spine-tingling, they're shocking, they're short. See the most incredible coming attractions ever to grace the silver screen on Trailer Park. Sci-Fi Channel next.